you've liked any of these Custodes reviews or any of these lists, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. This list, 2,000 points exactly. It is a speedy list. This is a more fun list. Like I said, I'm going to throw some fun lists up on here. So this is a more fun list I want to test sometime. I'm not sure against who, but either way, I think it'll be a really fun list. A lot of speed, but still has some utility in there, even though I'm using the bikes. I'll just kind of roughly go over it, just why I decided to use it and what's going on with them. Alright, so we're going to go over these sisters first. I have a unit of Witchseekers, a unit of Witchseekers, and a unit of Prosecutors. I have a couple swords in there just for proxy. These are just for doing secondaries. The scouts are for the speed. Speed's part of the list, so they can scout 6 inches. And then they can advance if you need to get them onto an objective turn 1. Some secondary, the Witchseekers also have some flamers that you're great for Overwatch if you need to. I wouldn't recommend spending your CP on it, but if you need to. They also have the ability that whatever you shoot with them, if you hit it, you can choose one thing that you've hit to cause them to take a battle shock test. So that can be situational. It works great against Endless Swarm Tyranids, so you can battle shock them and then kill them, and then they won't be able to come back. Same with possibly maybe the guard as well. Fun secondary girls, fun to have them on the table. I usually like to have some sisters just for a little bit of flavor. Then we have our unit of Wardens. So the Wardens are going to be going at the Blade Champion. So I have 2 units of Wardens and 2 Blade Champions. One of the Blade Champions will have Ceaseless Hunter, so he can fall back and charge. He can also move 6 inches if someone gets within 9 once per game. It's a pretty good ability. If I'm going to take a character, I'll throw that on them if I have the points. The other will have Inspirational Exemplar. I had the extra points, and all it is it gives him his leadership 5, and he can turn off Battle Shock within, I think it might be 12 inches once per game. They're for speed, the Blade Champion, but the Wardens, it allows me to reroll my advances and my charges, and then once per game I can advance and charge, so it's pretty speedy. Speed's the name of the game. These guys are going to go fast up the table. The Wardens themselves, they have 5 attacks, hit on 2s, strength 7, AP 2, and damage 2. And then the Vexilla, we got the little eagle thing. It adds another OC to the unit, so these are going to be OC 3 as well as the Blade Champion, so that'll be 18 OC just with this unit. So they're great for standing on objectives and daring people to come in. Then we have our 2 assassins, and these assassins are once again for doing secondaries and speedy. Eddie the Eversor here, he scouts. I think he has a 9-inch scout, so you can scout him, get him off the board if you need to. Calvis Assassin here, it can deep strike, as well as at the end of the opponent's turn. If she's not in engagement, she can go back into reserves and come in next turn. She also has a ability where she makes a battle tactic 1 extra CP for your opponent once they use it. So she has a lot of utility. And so does Eddie. Eddie has a little more killing power than she does, but it's his speed that I'm looking for. I want speed or teleports or something like that I'm not foot slogging up the table at my normal 6 inches. Then we have the Venatari. So these are a little bit of a controversial pick just because not everyone has Venatari. So you could, if you want to, drop these for another unit of 5 Custodian Wardens or Guard even, and throw another Blade Champion in there. You might have some extra points for maybe a sister or 2 as well, for another sister unit. I'm going to use the Venatari for this list because it's the need for speed list. So these guys move 10. They're infantry, so they can smash through walls and they can fly. So we can fly over models if we need to, opponents' models. And they have Lance on the charge. They can fall back and charge baked innately into their data card, and they can rapid ingress for free. So these are speedy boys. They are the fastest infantry we have. So I have these as just in case something needs to die and I need to get to it fast. This is what I'm going to be using. So this is the Venatari. They are a bit pricey. They are 400 points for this unit. So we're paying a premium for the speed. And they also have the same profile as pretty much every other spear in the Custodian Guard. So it's 5 attacks, hit on 2s, strength 7, AP 2, damage 2, and then the lance in there helps them. So you're really wounding a lot of things on 2s or 3s, and then something tougher, you are still going to be wounding them on 4s if you charge them with the lance. Alright, and then we have the bikes. So the bikes are still quite expensive at 75 points a model, but I want to add them in a list. I haven't used them that much in 10th yet, and them going down a little bit cheaper, and with everything else in the kind of the plastic range going down cheaper, I'm going to use them. So I have a unit of 3 and a unit of 2, and they are going to be more for taking out stragglers that maybe people are leaving behind for objectives, or they're pushing somewhere and maybe they're out of position. and they will be just for possibly stealing objectives and doing secondaries as well. They're not going to be my big damage dealing killers, just because they're just not made for that. They're only a little bit tougher than a regular Custodian Guard, so they have 6 toughness like a regular Custodian Guard, 2 up save, but 4 wounds instead of 3 for the Custodian Guard, so it's almost the same profile. They do move 12, but they are a mounted unit, so they're not going to be going through walls. They have to go up and around. Specifically, is a lot more expensive now because you got to measure both going up and down, so you're really going around most terrain, so that movement 12 is really not as desirable as it would seem. They do have a ability, so each time they advance, they can add 6, so it's just automatic 6 advance, and they have a Quicksilver Execution, which when you first read it, it may seem like it's kind of cool. It makes it so you kind of mistake it saying that it's the amount of models in the enemy's unit, but it's not. So they can, once per game, when they advance over an opposing unit, for each model you have in this unit, you roll a d6. On a 2+, the opposing unit takes 2 mortal wounds. So say these 2 bikes, this 2-bike unit flew over a group, you roll 2d6. If you got a 2+ on both of them, that unit that you flew over would take 4 mortal wounds. You do it with 3 bikes, it takes 6 mortal wounds. Can mistake it as the other way, so it would be a lot more deadly. So if you flew over a unit of 20 and you were rolling 20d6 and every 2+ you're getting 2 mortal wounds, not that. It's just if you advance, and they don't have assault weapons. So if you advance over something to do, a couple mortal wounds, you're giving up your shooting, you're giving up your charging. So it's really situational, very situational. If you maybe have to fly over a wounded vehicle to get at an objective, you might be able to pop off a few mortal wounds. But other than that, you're paying 75 points for the speed, and that's 30 more points than the guard. 30 points for the speed and the lance you're paying for. So you don't really want to put these in precarious positions. You want to be smart with these and have fun with them. You don't want them getting killed off turn 1, and you can't even use your cool bikes for the rest of the game. And finally in this list, I have a bike captain. So I'm going to play with him as lone, by himself. He doesn't get lone operative into that, but he's just going to be a lone ranger. If I want, I can pair him with one of these units. Pretty big bases. The bigger you make these units, the easier they are to see to shoot. And this fella, he does have the usual captain. You can use a stratagem, battle tactic stratagem for free. But him being mounted, it locks him out of a lot of the good stratagems for the Custodes. You can't use Arcane Genetic Alchemy. The best you can do is the Unwavering Sentinels, so you get to add 1 to his attack if the unit is under starting strength, and +2 to attack if it is under half strength, and it's just not good. That you probably get more use out of that, really, if you just have him by himself. So anytime he's down half, maybe he's almost dead, you pop that for free, just on himself. Then I almost want to say it's pretty good, because you're not spending the points that you need to pile the other bikes into. So you're not buying 2 more bikes and then putting them with 2 bikes, or buying 3 bikes and putting them with 3 bikes. I do, yes, have bikes in this list, but this also is going to be testing just the viability of maybe taking just one guy by himself and what you could possibly do with him. I may even play around with putting the Veiled Blade on him, so to give even 2 more attacks, and then if you pop that stratagem, that'd be 4 more attacks if he was, below half strength. So he could be a weapon, but for 140 points and then another 30 points for the Ceaseless Hunter to make him 170, I just don't think, unless maybe in the Codex you can get an option to make him lone operative, because without lone operative, 170 points is just a lot of points to somehow get him out of position and killed. So I'm going to run him like this, 140. I can pair him up with these Vertus praetors if I need to. Depends on who I'm playing against. Other than that, I think I'm just going to play him by himself. He has 6 toughness, which is odd with the bikes. It's the same toughness as our Custodian Guard. You'd think it would go up a toughness, so maybe the same toughness as the Alar's Terminators. But what can you do? He has 7 wounds, and he has 6 attacks with that lance weapon. Strength 7, AP 2, damage 2. While he's leading a unit, he gets to consolidate 6 inches instead of the 3. And then once per game at the end of the fight phase, if he's not in engagement range, so maybe if you attack something you clear out, or the fight phase and he's just not in engagement range, you can move like it is your movement phase. So you get that 12-inch movement. So you get an extra really 12-inch movement for free bringing him, but he has to be in a unit, so he won't be able to do that by himself. It's a shame he can't do that by himself, so I may put him with the 2, but I really want to play with him just by himself. And like I said, the beauty of the Feel No Pain, getting that back, is we can play with more lists like this. You don't have to worry about, if I take these bikes, yes, they are more expensive. Yes, they're not the best. But you can have fun with them instead of worrying about being compy bolted off the board with your big expensive bikes. I'm over the moon that we got this back, because it really helps us play into a lot more armies. It helps our index balances. It helps us be able to take more things out of our list, even Forge World, and still be viable to play with. Like right now, you can play with anything out of the classic range and have a pretty good time. The Forge World stuff is a little hit and miss, but it's still a fun time to use it. Well, yeah, so that's the end of the list, end of the video. I don't want to make it too long. Just a quick, little fun Need for Speed list that you guys can try if you want, or just some ideas and little tips, general thoughts of these units and how you can play them now. So that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by.